compliant zone.
Seeing it being 6:30 PM on Tuesday, July 8th, I'm going to open the Hadley Conservation Commission meeting. First, on the agenda, we're swapping around the order a little bit, so we're going to start with order of conditions 170-304 and amended Lake Warner. Friends of Lake Warner seek to amend order of conditions 170-304 to include using a harvester to remove invasive water chestnuts from Lake Warner. You're on.
Okay, we were here back in May and, we had a proposal to use an herbicide. There were some abutters that were opposed to that. We met with the abutters and, came up with an alternative plan to pilot a weed cutter. We actually talked about a weed cutter at the last meeting when we were here in May, and I think all of you indicated that it would be a good idea to try weed cutter, but we're about, 90% built and ready to go with one, and we just need approval basically to go ahead with that. So we'd be cutting water chestnut and vicinity aquatic vegetation to open up the lake and remove the invasive species. And this would be an amendment to our existing order of condition.
Would there still be any type of treatment going on chemically?
Well, we would like to keep that option available. We are implementing a process. I think you requested that we.
So we're gonna just add the harvester to.
Add the harvester.
And then leave everything else the same?
Yes.
Gives you the option, because we can't deny, it's been approved.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so perfect.
And then, I have a letter that, an abutter sent me and asked me to read out from Jonathan Carr. To the Hadley Conservation Commission, as abutters to Lake Warner, my wife and I would like to express our full support for the amended Friends of Lake Warner Ecological Restoration Management Program. In order to make the plan work as effectively as possible, we will collaborate with Friends of Lake Warner to establish a suitable composting area for harvested aquatic plants on our property in accordance with any relevant regulations. Furthermore, we would like to acknowledge all the work carried out by Friends of Lake Warner to revise their original plan and appreciate their willingness to listen to the voices of the community. From Jonathan Carr and Nicole Blum. So it seems like there's a plan for the composting of the vegetation as well.
Sounds great, because I know they're rather vocal opponents to it, and this is gonna make everyone happy.
And I guess my only question would be, how are you going to target just the water chestnut and not like any other, any other vegetation or wildlife that may be kind of the same area?
We had a team from Connecticut River Conservancy that's been going out every week, and they keep a map where the hotspots are. And we're also now working with Alex Terrell, who's a drone operator, and he's surveying the lake for us. So we did our first survey today. We reviewed all of the different hotspots, and we're coming up with a plan to work with CRC, and that's where we'll focus our efforts.
Okay, cool. Nice.
All right, so for the amended order of conditions, we'll keep the conditions the special conditions that we approved for the herbicide or whatever. And then I have some suggested ones to add on for the mechanical harvesting, which is to inspect the harvester after use so that you're not bringing water chestnut anywhere else.
We'll keep it on the lake, actually. We're not,
You're not even,
we're gonna have it moored on the lake, yes.
okay.
We're not bringing one in, we're building one ourselves.
Oh, wow, okay,
Yeah.
great.
Where's it gonna go in the winter?
It just floats up onto the ice with the barrels that sit on. We'll take the motor off and we'll take the cutter bar off, but we'll just leave it in the lake like a raft.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I guess we don't need that one. Applicant shall take all feasible measures to avoid impacts to non-target species, and before cutting, identify non-target species and submit to the Concom the location and plan to avoid. So just those aerials, I guess. Once you have them from the drones and CRC.
Okay.
So I'll look for a motion from the board to accept those.
I don't know, sorry. I don't know if we had in the original order to dispose of the water chestnut outside of the buffer zone. Did we put that?
I think you put 35 feet in the last
35 feet?
order.
Okay, so let's just keep that then.
Okay, so just look for a motion to accept the amendments to the order as proposed by Kayla. So moved.
Yes.
Moved by Raymond, second by Steve. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous by the 4 board members present. Okay,
Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
So Brian, will you be able to pick that up from town hall later in the week?
Sure.
Okay, because I had sent the original one to you and then it got sent back to me. I don't know if.
I didn't pick it up because we decided to move forward with this process, so I.
Okay, no, yes, it's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
So,
I'll do that.
I'll email you. Yeah.
Okay, so we can't do any work until it's in the registry?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you technically can, but there's an
Yeah.
appeal period, you're subject to anybody appealing.
Oh, okay,
Is it gonna happen?
okay.
Just between
We
you.
haven't seen it, but it could happen.
I
you
didn't
know.
have to tell you that, but I don't think
Could
it'd
they
be a
still,
problem.
could they still work by hand like they've been doing too, or no?
Oh, that's in the original.
Yeah, so that should be, I'll see what that would be. an
Yeah.
issue.
Okay. Sounds good.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you guys.
So we on the 7 horses then?
Yes.
Okay. Next on the agenda is notice of intent of continuation 170-303, 347 Russell Street, 7 Brew, 7 Horses Energy LLC, seeks to construct a drive-through coffee shop on Russell Street within a riverfront area of a perennial stream.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Raj Kumar, the business owner for Seven Horses Energy, and Seven Brew. Last meeting, we got some feedback on, some of the mitigation or mediation options that we had. So what I wanted to do today was really go through what we've done so far, and then I do have, be good to have a discussion around some of these items. The other piece that was important as well was to ensure that we had somebody that understood the local, regulations and everything. And we have Chris here.
Yeah, Chris Chamber, the Berkshire Design Group.
Is here as well. So I think I'll start off by just kind of going through some of the items that we've gone through and ask for feedback on one or two of them. So one of the first ones was looking for a private real estate along Route 9, along the riverfront area there. We reached out to Econo Lodge, who did seem to have an area, but the owner was not interested in doing it. They wanted to save it for their own potential use for mitigation. We also worked with Kayla to looked into invasive plant removal via the DPW, but I think there are no current efforts underway for that. We also spoke to Kestrel Land Trust if there was a way to work together to put a conservation restriction. So there, the discussion essentially went that they don't currently have a project in the riverfront area within Hadley. They are open to doing something like this, but really we're looking for somebody like Berkshire Design and the Conservation Commission to provide a little bit more insight into what could work for that, to make sure that we were in compliance and trying to follow the regulations there. And then finally, the other option was around culvert repair or stormwater drainage improvement that could happen as a possibility. This was another item that we would just need a little bit more guidance on like what is appropriate. Are there things that the Conservation Commission knows of that we could help with? But those are the main items that we dug into. Would be, I think, helpful to maybe just.
Yeah, and I think from our perspective, picking this project up after some plans have sort of been put together, we've talked about some possible ways to reduce the impacts on the site within the riverfront area. Obviously, given the reality of this parcel as right up against the perennial streams, there's limited ability to do that, but we'll certainly scrutinize that as much as possible. And then understanding that the regulations provide for this idea of off-site mitigation within the same river system. When we're looking at a straight restoration or mitigation of areas, it's a question of math, but going through some of these other suggestions, it comes a little bit to the question of, in the scope of this project, we are going to try to understand the extent of an off-site improvement that the commission would consider sufficient for the work that's contemplated if we're looking at some of these opportunities that go beyond simply the square feet of degraded area on other sites that may be removed.
The ones that are gonna have the final say in this is gonna be Mark Stenson at DEP. He's the one gonna be reviewing this.
Right.
We're not gonna be giving you the final say for that. We're gonna get his opinion, because that's who you have to please, Springfield's office.
Sure.
Not us. As far as the riverfront.
Okay.
I think it's also worth seeing what the commission would be comfortable with in general and what you've seen in the past. I mean, you've seen a lot, so.
Well, I know what I went through, and I got other ones rejected. I had to find something within the same resource area.
Mhm.
when I did the construction project, so I'll just tell you up front, you gotta please the DEP, not to please us. We just work for them, unpaid volunteers.
All right, that's not true in some towns, so that is very helpful guidance.
No, we don't, I'm not looking to make a career out of this, and I just basically want to make people in Springfield happy.
Okay.
They give us back a comment letter with a file number, you gotta do this, as long as everything's met, make them happy. I'm not gonna be a peer review agent for a project,
Okay,
like previous members used to be.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. But we're not environmental scientists. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, and so I guess the other question is, whether there are opportunities that the commission is aware of. The answer may simply be no, but,
You got a tough project there. I don't know how you're gonna accomplish this. I looked at it and I drove out today and actually took some pictures in the parking lot.
mhm,
The area where you want to expand into, and it's a head scratcher.
And it's the same lot as Jiffy Lube, right?
Yes, correct.
that's right.
And Jiffy Lube doesn't wanna give up any of their parking, you sure?
Well, they have to have so many parking spaces per square foot for a planning board.
Right,
Right.
right.
I was out there today, and I counted 16 parking spots, and only 5 or 6 were,
Yeah.
just 6 was marginally accessible. It's only 5 empty spots.
Mm.
So they're pretty well.
If they were
maxed out.
open to, we could potentially, with the planning board's consent, convert some of that actual parking to their reserve parking,
Right.
where it's actually grass, but it's theoretically available in the future, which will probably never come.
But I kind of looked at it and imagined,
It's already pretty tight,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like tight,
but I think,
but that's,
I mean, in my opinion, the conservation restriction with Kestrel, I think that sounds the most doable. If that's something that they're open to working with you on.
Right, and just I'm coming up to speed on this
Yeah.
project because we've only sort of just been engaged. But meaning putting land into conservation that's not currently within the riverfront of the same
Yes.
river system.
I think even if it's, what do you feel about same river system?
it's gonna be Springfield's decision. It's
Yeah.
not our decision. I'm not going
If I
there.
had an opinion, I would say,
I don't think they're
what
gonna
is the
accept.
extent of this
I
riverfront?
really don't.
It's
I
not
think it's got to be within the
the
stream.
same.
Yes. I found invasive species that were along, Connecticut River, but they weren't within the 200 feet of the Connecticut River buffer zone. I could not use.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't any riverfront then. You had to go Connecticut River.
Okay, yeah, and we can review that text. We can, Mark's always open to talking to us offline, so.
That's the best way to go back and forth with him.
And sometimes we bring David Cameron in, and now he's a private
Yeah,
consultant.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's the best way to handle this
Yeah.
one.
Okay, but helpful feedback that as long as Springfield's happy,
We're
the
happy.
commission is happy.
Yep.
That's bottom line.
And that there's nothing extra special about this lot that you're concerned about development in that riverfront or anything.
I mean, it is already mostly. developed.
Well, but
We have these opinions and then we appear before commissions.
how far do you let the encroachment go into
Yeah.
it?
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, and that's something that we're gonna scrutinize a little more closely
Right.
as well. Yeah,
Okay.
there's definitely two sides to this. There's reducing the impact and then there's finding the offsets, but we're not gonna reduce the impact to 0 in the riverfront on that lot. I still have to build the project. Yeah. Good, okay.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. So should we make a motion to continue this till next month? Or, so we don't have to re-advertise? We can just keep rolling this?
Absolutely, as long as
So
you're.
I'm gonna look for a motion from the board to continue his hearing until August 12th at 6:30 PM.
Make a motion to continue this.
Ray make the
August
motion.
12th.
And second by?
I'll second it.
Second by Brandon. Any further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
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 So we all agree. You can keep rolling this over, give you time.
Great,
Appreciate that.
okay.
That's what we
For
can
that.
do.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, please, is request for determination of applicability. NIMBA NEMBA trails. Western Mass NEMBA seeks to reroute existing trails near the Holyoke Range. And who's here for that, please?
I'm joining online here.
We can't hear you.
You're muted, I believe.
You're muted out.
I just turned my mic on.
No, you've got microphones muted.
No, his microphone is on.
It's now on. It's now off.
So.
Because the TV volume is not on. Can you try talking again?
Sorry,
No.
Take the microphone off.
can you hear me now?
He's muted.
No, he's still muted.
Look at the right corner.
No, he's upper right.
Hold on.
What's his name?
Oh, his name's up top. Walker.
Okay, so what's,
Hello.
oh, down.
Hello,
We got 4 people here then, right? Okay, 2 are not showing their faces.
hello.
Oh my god.
Oh, let's scale it.
Just fire me.
No.
Guys,
Anything get reappointed?
Denied. Is that something we can ask first?
Can you guys hear me now?
Oh my god.
I can hear you fine.
Kim can hear me.
Yeah, I
You
can.
guys in the room cannot hear me.
Let's see.
He's saying, you can see, you can read his text.
Hello? Hello? Can you
Hello?
try talking again?
Hello, hello, hello.
How about this?
Do we need to verify him? Is that why maybe? Because it says
Hello?
unverified.
What's that?
Good.
Welcome everybody.
Go ahead.
Hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, hello,
Press now.
hello,
Hello?
hello, hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Yes, okay.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. So what do you want me to just talk about the project? What do you guys need to know?
Yes, I will. Let me screen share.
So let's make this as quickly as possible. This seems like it's pretty cut and dry, right? Yeah.
Essentially, we're just rerouting a trail. The new trail is gonna be further from the resource than the old trail, and we're gonna delete the old trail.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, so basically this is the reroute. The red is the reroute. The existing is this green dotted line. I don't know if you can see it. And then the highlighted area is the buffer zone, 100 and 200 foot. So they're moving it, this area that it gets closer, they're actually moving it further. That there's a correction. So this area is not getting closer to the stream.
And all the other works outside the buffer.
What?
Do all the new trails outside the buffer.
There's part of it in the outer 100 to 200 foot, but
That's
nothing
fine.
in the inner.
That's fine.
Yeah. One thing is, can you hear us, Tristan?
Yep. Yes, I can
Okay.
hear you.
One thing is, I think we will make this approval contingent on select board approval because it's a town-owned parcel, and I don't know if you got approval for the trail. I know you went to them with the parking lot, but we'll approve it tonight from conservation's end. But you'll just have to go to the select board before any work begins to get their permission as well.
Okay, I believe that they already did that, but sure.
Covering ourselves, so.
Yeah.
I can
Other
check
than-
with her, but yeah, I believe they already did that.
Is this the same trail that we discussed a couple months back? That
Yeah.
they're gonna, one of the dangerous trails and put
Yes.
one in
Yeah.
place?
Yeah.
All right, now is anything, I'm just curious, was anything found about the private property parcels that you guys have been crossing? Was that discussed at all with your membership or?
You'd have to I wasn't part of that conversation. That would be Kurt or Sam, the president. Because this trail is only on town of Hadley land, and I'm just focusing on this trail right now. But
You do realize there's a problem over there, that your trail's on the map crossing private property, correct?
Okay, that's another problem. We're approving this specific project and its impact to the wetlands. So that's definitely a conversation that, both parties can have, but I think let's focus on this for now.
Is there any way of setting up another meeting with these guys at our conservation committee meeting and discussing their trail system? Then, if we can't do it now, can we do it at the next meeting?
It depends what your question or your issue is with the trail system.
Their trails are on a map that cross private property.
So that might be an outside of conservation commission issue, because our jurisdiction is wetlands. So
get that.
you should, yeah, you can definitely have conversations with them and, invite other interested people to have those conversations, but I think these meetings, we will be focusing only on what we have jurisdiction over. Which this is within our jurisdiction only because it is, within that buffer zone. I mean, you might even wanna, if anybody would be select board because it's, on town property. They might be a better board to take that issue to.
Are you adding more
I
miles?
will. What's that?
Are you adding more miles or are you keeping the same amount of trails?
So this is part, I mean, to speak to what you were talking about earlier about private property and this trail. So this is part of a larger goal to sort of reduce the redundancy of trails at Earls and have trails that make sense and that are actually modern and enjoyable to ride, where right now it's sort of just a spaghetti bowl of trails that people have built over the years and a lot of them don't really make sense. So there is like a master plan project going on to try to consolidate what's there. But that's a whole nother project. It's a big sort of a master plan project.
They were supposed to do a wildlife impact study on that property. Was that lady there a year ago or something? They were gonna do it. I think it's crazy to do it after the trails are built. But has there been any wildlife impact study done on this new trail? Like where the critters are going?
I'm not aware of that.
That's why I asked you, is the trail gonna be like more miles of trails or less miles or the same? Or are you gonna invade on wildlife species?
So this trail, that's a good question. I'm not sure if this trail, I mean, it's the corridor is essentially the same distance. The jump trail that's being removed, I think there also is another trail forking off the jump trail that will be deleted as well. That's not showing on this drawing, but it's shown on other maps. So I'd have to really I'd have to get back to you on that. That's a good question.
How do you delete the trails?
You do a really good job closing them with sticks and leaves and woody debris and just basically make them really hard for anyone to try to traverse them. And we're going to be, yeah. So it's just sort of like revegetating, or not revegetating, but just kind of rewilding.
Well, what we're looking for tonight is just to vote on that new trail replacing the old one in the town property. I think that's fine. I think if we want to have another discussion with them later on down the road about what they're doing as far as, encroachment on other pieces of property, I think that's something that we should discuss at some point too. If we can. But obviously not tonight.
Well, yeah, I'll go along with that idea.
Because that's gotta get straightened out.
So we're not worried about a wildlife impact study or nothing, just
Well, I mean,
good to go, no matter what.
what say do we have in this right now as far as the town property? Is the only thing that we're voting on now?
We're just voting on impacts to wetlands. We have to determine if this will impact the wetland or not.
The new trail is going further away from the wetland.
Yeah,
It's an improvement.
It's basically a like for like replacement, lengthwise.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're not adding to trail, we're not adding to trail length, the trail length is gonna be the same. I mean, it's, if he was coming to us and saying, hey, listen, I'm gonna put a trail down in the swamp or something like that, then we'd have something to say, but
Okay.
I don't think this is gonna impact any more than, it's in the, how far away is this new trail compared to the old trail? Maybe 100 feet, 200 feet, how far away is it?
It's on average is probably another 100 feet or more from the old trail.
All right, obviously away from, probably higher and drier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't see how this. You think that's gonna impact the wildlife any more or less than what's already there, Steve?
No. This whole place got destroyed anyways.
Yeah,
For the most part.
but your overall plan is to reduce the trail, to actually make sense of it.
Yeah, for the entire network. And I think part of that planning, yeah, it totally could include wildlife considerations for wildlife corridor. I think
good.
in general, I think it's just in general, yeah, reducing sort of the redundancy. There's just like a lot of squiggly line trails through that zone that don't really need to be there. And
You're effectively trying to consolidate this trail system.
Right.
Okay.
yeah, exactly.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so I believe this will fall as a negative determination 3. The work described in the request is within the buffer zone, so they are redoing some of it in the buffer, but most is gonna be outside the buffer zone.
Yeah.
It's just the upper section as defined in the regulations, but will not alter an area subject to jurisdiction of the act. Therefore, said work does not require the following notice of intent. Subject to any of the following conditions. We don't have any.
Just that the select board needs to approve it before we can begin.
Okay, that will be the select board needs to approve it before they can begin work.
And then also a -6 probably.
In the -6, the area and the work described in the request is not subject to additional review and approval by the Hadley municipality. So I'll look for a motion for that.
I make a motion to,
Ray makes a motion. That was second for that motion.
I'll second it.
And seconds it. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
aye.
I'm abstaining. EC's gonna abstain. Okay.
All right, so Tristan, I will mail this, signed copy to you.
Okay. Yeah, and is there anything else I need to do from here on?
Not with us,
Okay.
right?
Definitely in the select board though, like you said, if they have to.
Second,
talk
make
back
sure
to them.
we put it in the select board.
And then there's a 10-day appeal period starting from now, right? For the determination. But other than that, you're set.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
next we'll move
Have a good
on.
night.
Next on the public comment. Any public comment? Hearing none. Other business, gardener supply, stormwater runoff. And if
Hi
there's a
there.
case-
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Excellent. All right, so Kayla asked that we provide an update from our last meeting regarding the stormwater runoff at the Gardner Supply in Hadley. And so basically in mid-June, we had a meeting with Kayla, our storm manager Eric, and the DOT engineers to kind of take a look and see again where the stormwater is coming from. I had reached out to Berkshire Design, who had designed the original kind of parking lot improvement that was executed. And originally Jeff said that it's unlikely that it's coming from our parking lot. However, upon further kind of analysis and looking at it, it was determined that there is some runoff coming, and it's probably because the hard pack on the gravel is just a little more, I think, like more dense, and so the water is not soaking in as quickly as it used to. Regardless, the DOT unofficial suggestion from that meeting was to install curbing along the paved section against the grass to funnel the water towards Route 9 and then direct the water into the catch basin, which flows into the DOT's nearby stormwater drain. Kayla also suggested that we could, that we could dig like a pond lined with riprap with the overflow connection to the dock catch basin that's along the road. So I passed all that information over to Jeff at Berkshire Design, who has agreed to come up with a plan for us. He mentioned that we'll need access to DOT stormwater system and we'll need a permit for that. So I sent that all to him, and Jeff actually just recently got back to me and said Chris is also at the meeting, and I think Chris has been kind of brought up to speed with a plan to mitigate the stormwater, and it seems like I think we have a couple of questions. We're deep in the weeds of creating the best plan. Chris, I don't know how much you've been kind of caught up to speed by Jeff, if you want to speak to kind of what has been done so far and the questions, or if you want me to go over it, I'll let you decide.
Yeah, no, that's great. And so, yeah, I mean, our first reaction, I think, was curious that DOT suggested to send a whole lot of water into the highway layout because they are typically very much the opposite of that.
That's what they don't allow you to do.
And so we did talk to one of the permit managers at District 2 about this. And so there is a route to get permission for water to enter the state drainage system. There's a highway access permit specifically for drainage discharge. It requires local review, and then it goes to Boston. It requires an alternatives analysis, basically showing, hey, this is the only way we can do it, and then they'll consider allowing that. And so I think that's one route that we could take to look at this, but I think there may be simpler and quicker solutions that we can address on site, but it probably requires doing some kind of little sediment basin or something that would probably encroach on the 35-foot in this site to improve things. And so wanted to gauge the commission's reaction to that, because if the answer is no, we don't want you to go there, then that's an extenuating circumstance that we could go to DOT with, explaining why a solution that directs the water into the state highway layout is required.
Only a land there that you can keep 35 feet away. They may lose a little parking lot or something, but
I think the elevations are tricky because of where this water is collecting right now, and the proximity of the stream.
when you go out, you see everything just goes that way to that corner, the grade.
Yeah,
You got a lot of impervious surface there. It's not paved, it's hardtack, but it's impervious.
Mhm.
Might as well be blacktop. Not perking.
right.
So you come up with a solution, bring it back to us when we're reviewing.
Okay.
Well, the question is the commission gonna deny something in the 35-foot zone?
Yes.
Okay. So then that's what you could go to DOT with.
Right.
I don't think anybody's even gonna allow 35 foot.
No.
We haven't yet.
Nope.
Not in a case like this.
Okay.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Can't think of it.
And, other project updates?
Hold on. Was there anything else that you wanted to update on the stormwater? Is that it?
I think that's it. We're sort of just getting into the details of it. I think we understand the concern. I think we still need to make a visit ourselves out when it's raining real hard.
Yeah.
We talked to DOT, so we understand that process. So now we've just got to figure out what we're going to propose and who it goes to first.
Okay,
Okay.
so you want me to come back?
Okay.
You're good, thank you. Other project updates.
I don't have any other project.
Bills.
I have one bill for renewing MACC membership, for, let's see,
Need a signature for that.
we just need to vote
You need to vote. Okay.
for 380,
We're
385.
all year long.
So,
385. It's 320 plus 65.
so we're looking for a motion to approve payment of the annual dues for MACC of a total of $385. Who would like to make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Steve makes the motion.
I'll second that.
Second, you can take the choice.
Yeah, it's all right.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, last up is the minutes.
This is from,
March and April.
no, actually, I made this, it's May and June. Alright, but I sent the right ones. Anybody need a paper copy?
I got them, I think they're on the email, right?
You got them? See, you were able to
No, I
open it?
didn't, I did not get them.
Were you able to open the file?
No.
You want to take time to read
Can
it?
you open are you able to open the agenda when I send it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's how I make the copy.
But you couldn't get the minutes?
Yeah.
It's in the email.
Maybe I just not pressed the right one.
It'd be under like the PDF logo.
Yeah, so we get to kind of hit open.
What's a PDF?
Okay. Sort of like paint.
Maybe it says PDF right on it. Just double click it.
I'll look for a motion to accept the May and June minutes as presented.
I make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from May and June 2025 as read.
Steve's still reading them, hang on.
Oh,
Making sure I didn't say anything bad about him. Andrew.
Think so.
We're good.
Need a second?
I'll second, I think Ray seconded it.
Brandon second it. Any further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we only need three. Let's read them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look for a motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.